Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. We'll start.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will call to next. So, few more participants are still have to join. We'll wait for a few more minutes.
Is it Pratiksha? Have you applied for no spatial technology? Your name does not appear in the portal, Atal portal. You applied, but what is the name you gave? Can you tell me? It's not. It doesn't appear. So what you can do? what you can do, again, I have added you in the MS team. You can attend now, but first you have to register in the Atal portal again. You please, yeah, you just immediately do. Then only attendance will be approved. So you can attend now. Yeah, you immediately do. You can join now in MS team. I will send the. Have you received my link? No. Yesterday you attended. No. Did you attend the program yesterday? Okay. Now I will do this. I will forward the link. You can directly enter. But you have to apply in the Atal portal. Then only you will get the certificate. Yeah. Okay. So you just enter into a link. Hello? Hello?
Sir, I am calling to Nike, sir.
Bhaskar. Hello.
हाँ sir, good morning.
Yeah. So we will wait for another 5 minutes. I guess there is no strength. What do you say?
Yes sir, actually still now about 80 participants have joined sir already. Okay sir.
Oh, okay.
So wait for two more minutes sir, then we'll start. 2 more minutes. Okay.
पुत्र यदि कृषक नर्क भरे कृषि को त्याग करदेव तेरे समग्र समाज भूखरे रहिबे और राजा
Bhaskar, shall we start? Hello.
sir. I'm starting sir. Hello, good morning my dear participants. For the day 2 session, the first speaker is Dr. Kiran Naik sir. Kiran Naik sir is an assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at NIT Rourkela. He received both his PhD and MTech from University of Guwahati. He completed his BTech in Andhra in 2012. He also received as a Queen Elizabeth Postdoctoral Fellow at Simon Fraser University, Canada during 2020 and 2021, and as a project engineer at IIT Guwahati in 2019. He is the recipient of Queen Elizabeth Scholars QES Fellowship from University of Canada, Center for Cooperation in Science and Technology among Developing Societies, and also received Travel Fellowship from the INSA, CSR, DAE, BRNS, CCSDS, and CERB, ITS Travel Grant from Department of Science and Technology, DST, Government of India. He also received INAE Fellowship from carrying research work as a visiting researcher at IIT Kanpur. He has filed 3 patents to his profile till date, out of which 1 patent is granted and 2 under review. He has currently 2 funded research projects. He was students activities chair and K-12 chair and CWC member for ISRAE Guwahati subchapter for the year 2016 and 2018. And the program chair for CWC member for ISRAE Bhubaneswar subchapter for the year 2021 and 22. He also received funding for organizing CERB Accelerate Vijnana sponsored Karyashala workshop. He has about 30 research articles in various international journals and conference proceedings. His research expertise includes thermochemical energy conversion and storage, development of sorption-based heating, cooling, drying, desalination system, design of absorption-based encapsulation materials, and application of artificial intelligence and machine learning tool for thermal analysis of heat and mass exchangers, developing of analytical models for coupled heat and mass transfer analysis. For this kind introduction, Kiran Naik sir, the session is handed over to you.
Thank you, Bhaskar, for nice introduction. So I will share my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whether my screen is visible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Visible to you? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all for the second day 2 session for the first morning session of this FDP Atal sponsored FDP program.
Sir,
So
the screen is not visible, sir. Just again share.
Screen is not visible.
Yeah.
Now it's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I welcome you all for this FDP program morning day session. So in this session, we have eminent speakers from IIT Delhi and others. So among those, now the first lecture is on membrane technology for fuel cell applications. So in this membrane technology, I just want to brief about first what is membrane, and then afterwards how it can able to use for fuel cells, and then what is the prominent applications of this membrane technology in fuel cells are going to be discussed. So before going to talk about the our topic of interest, I just want to give a brief introduction about our institute, NIT Rourkela. So NIT Rourkela is located in east region of our India. So it is of 60 years of old college and institute, and then this is a golden jubilee. He has celebrated silver jubilee, golden jubilee, and now it is celebrating diamond jubilee year at present. So its NIRF ranking states at 16 in engineering category, overall 32, and Times Higher Education has given a ranking of 801 to 1000 among the world universities. So we have various departments, around 20 departments we have in engineering, science, humanities, and management. So we have unique departments like mining, industrial design, planning and architecture, metallurgical and materials engineering, when earth and atmospheric sciences, life sciences, physics and astronomy, when compared to other institutes. Moreover, we have research centers like tissue engineering, development of nanomaterials, industrial electronic and robotics, industrial refrigeration and air conditioning, cryogenics and superconducting engineering, renewable energy systems, steel research center, research in computer vision and pattern recognition, excellence on tribal studies, excellence on public health nutrition. Further, till date, we have received more than 300 sponsored research projects and 126 consultancy projects. So here you can see we have what are major sponsors of this funding. I mean, from different organizations. So some of them noted are UNICEF and IU, SSTF, Imprint, etc. So we welcome you all as a esteemed faculty or otherwise as a PhD student, as a BTech or MSc or PG courses. We have various courses in our institute. We love to welcome you all for our institute to join and cherish your life for future generations. So let's dive into our topic, the membrane technology for fuel cell application. So first, I just want to give a background on membrane technology. So membrane technology is basically used to separate the molecules which are of lower in order or which are of lesser size in molecules. That means now, for example, if a solution and ambient air are interacted between a membrane, at that point of time, only gaseous phase, that means vapor, which is of smaller size in molecule, can able to penetrate into the other division or other solution. Okay, this is a membrane technology. Okay, so just it is basically a separation process. So if you can able to see from this figure, you can view that here there are different types of gases that are going inside a hollow fiber membrane. So in this membrane, if you can able to view, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, argon are the gases which are going inside a membrane. Among these, nitrogen is extracted. So this happens due to the pore size of the membrane. And one more thing is that it depends upon the pressure which it is acting upon. Okay. So this, I just want to give a brief introduction about membrane technology, how it can able to work. Now, what are the membrane types? There are two types of membranes which are available. One is porous membrane, other one is dense membrane. Okay, so here the porous membrane means in this the micro size particles of greater in dimensions can able to penetrate to the other side of the coin. So here in dense membrane, what happens is that only very few micro particles can able to go. Okay, so if I briefly discuss more about this, this is a different kind of approach. Okay, so if we talk about porous membrane, this is microfiltration. Okay, This is a porous membrane. So in this microfiltration or porous membrane, which is of 10 micrometers to 0.1 micrometers. Okay, so here water, monovalent ions, multivalent ions, viruses can able to penetrate, whereas bacteria, suspended solids can't able to penetrate inside this membrane. Now, if we go further in a demonstration of these membranes, ultrafiltration based membranes. Okay, so in this, viruses, bacteria, and suspended solids can't able to penetrate, and rest of them like water, monovalent ions, multivalent ions can able to penetrate. Okay, now coming to nanofiltration, in this you can observe. So this is of 10 nanometers to 1 nanometer. In this, water, monovalent ions can able to penetrate. Coming to hyperfiltration or reverse osmosis, you can able to see the picture only, except water, rest of them can't able to penetrate inside this. Okay, this kind of application best suits for water extraction process. So this technology also used for fuel cell membrane. How it can use that I can able to demonstrate in upcoming slides. Okay, so as a overall, if we can able to see, this is a raw water which contains a lot of solids, algae, viruses, and multi ions. So how it has been extracted to get a fresh water has been demonstrated here. So initially microfiltration, then ultrafiltration, later on nanofiltration, then reverse osmosis. Okay, so after that, this kind of fresh water can able to generate using this membrane technology. This is the advantage of our membrane technologies. Now, what are the different types of membrane modules that are available? One is vacuum membrane. I mean, here in vacuum means pressurized under vacuum vapor extraction takes place. This is flat sheet module. Okay, and then hollow fiber module. Here, this is nothing but I just want to make you understand that there are different types of membrane configurations that are available in our daily life. Okay, in this flat sheet, hollow fiber membrane and vacuum membrane are the prominent ones. So among these, at present for a fuel cell application, flat sheet modules are considered. Okay. Now, what are the properties of membrane? So the properties of membrane are: first, pore size, porosity, toxicity, thermal conductivity, permeability, selectivity, liquid penetration pressure, vapor diffusion resistance, modulus of elasticity. Here, selectivity means it is a ratio of the permeability of permeate to that of the other components in the fluid side. Okay, so these are the main properties in order to judge whether this membrane can able to, I mean, which membrane we can able to choose, like microfiltration or ultrafiltration or nanofiltration kind of membranes, how I can able to designate. So based on these properties, I can able to designate. Okay, pore size, porosity, toxicity, thermal conductivity, permeability, selectivity, liquid penetration pressure, vapor diffusion resistance, and modulus of elasticity. Okay. Now,
Excuse me, sir.
what are the? Sorry.
What is Tarsus?
I'm sorry.
What is Tarsus?
Tortuosity. Okay, it is a degree of deviation between a pore size and cylindrical shape. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it is a degree of deviation between pore size and cylindrical shape.
Cylindrical shape of that pore.
Now, for example, if you can able to see this hollow fiber membrane here, I mean, how much it is going to be deviated in between these two. can able to analyze based on this toxicity. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Hello. So questions, I will take it. You please note it down all the questions. Okay. Once the my presentation is completed, I will answer all the respective questions. Fine. Okay. Now coming to the flow configurations. So here there are different types of flow configurations are available. The first flow configuration is perfect mixing. So here there will be two fans in which small fans will be there, which circulates the fluid across the membrane in order to make an effective way of penetration between these two. Here, in this case, two different fluids of different pressures can able to exert. Okay. Here there is no driving force of temperature driven or vapor pressure driven. It is based upon the microfiltration process. Coming to here, it is a cross flow. Okay. Here the fluid as well as the gas, which both will interact. Okay. In this, the gases phase can able to have a perfect mixing, and then afterwards, whereas fluid can't able to have a perfect mixing, it is kind of a flow. Okay. In this, it is forced to flow. Here there is no what we say. It will be a temperature driven, but it is not a vapor pressure driven based configurations. Now, if you see co-current based flow, here both temperature difference and vapor pressure difference. That means when a fluid is flowing from this gaseous or the liquids, when they flow in between these two, at that point of time, due to vapor pressure difference between the fluids, there will be a transfer of vapor or otherwise gases, or otherwise separation of some of the elements may take place. Okay. Now this is the same configuration, but it is of counterflow direction. So these are the different flow configurations which we can able to assess. Now coming to the membrane materials. So if we talk about the membrane materials, they are polymer membranes, zeolitic membranes, mixed matrix membranes, supported liquid membranes. So here polymer membranes are most commonly used membranes, are readily available membranes, whereas zeolitic membranes are of equal distribution of pore size takes place, whereas in polymer membranes, non-equal distribution of pore size occurs. Okay, so here zeolitic membranes are used for what we say CO2 separation, whereas these polymer membranes are used basically for water filtration purposes or any other purposes. Okay, now if we talk about the other membranes like mixed matrix membrane and supported liquid membrane. So here mixed matrix membrane is used as a combination of polymer membrane and zeolitic membrane. That means equal distribution of pore size or otherwise unequal distribution, a mixture kind of thing. Okay, this is a mixed matrix membrane. Whereas supported liquid membrane, here in this supported liquid membrane are basically mostly used for vacuum technologies, vacuum based extraction of any separation of gases or any absorption of vapor molecules. At that point of time, supported based liquid membrane can be used. Here, due to capillary action, this supported liquid membrane based separation process of fluids which are flowing can take place. Okay, so among these, polymer membranes are best suitable for whichever might be the application we use, and these are of low cost and readily available. Okay. For CO2 separation or other things, these zeolitic membranes or supported liquid membranes or mixed matrix membranes can be used. But in fuel cells, these polymer membranes are most commonly used till date. Now, these are the different types of commercial membranes that are available. They are polypropylene, polyfluoroethylene, and high density polypropylene and polytetrafluoroethylene, and PVDF, polyvinyl difluorine. Okay, these are the different types of commercially available membranes with a force size, porosity, and vapor diffusion resistance, as well as the pressure exerted by it, and its cost has been represented here. So among these, if you can able to see per US dollar per feet square, we can able to see that polypropylene is the cheaper material, whereas polytetrafluoroethylene is the costlier when compared to others. Now, coming to the membrane characteristics. So, how I can able to judge that what is a good membrane? Okay, a good membrane should be have high liquid penetration pressure. That means how much it can able to withstand the pressure of the when the liquid is flowing across the membrane. It needs to withstand the pressure. Okay. Then low vapor diffusion resistance. Low vapor diffusion resistance, that means very due to vapor pressure difference, the mass potential transfer takes place. So during that time, thermochemical generation of heat exerted. So for this, how diffusion resistance, how effectively it can able to act, that needs to be taken care. Then it should have high modulus of elasticity. That means it should have more elastic limit. It should have high porosity and small thermal resistance, high selectivity, small toxicity factor, which I have discussed as a deviation of that fluid within the pore size. It should be minimum. Okay, the deviation should be minimum. Ability to sustain for high temperatures. It has to have high durability, and in most commonly we face that these membranes have high fouling, so it needs to have high fouling resistance. It should be cost effective and competitive chemical resistance for different fluids, whichever might be the fluids you use. Now, for example, protons or ions or cathodes or otherwise water or whichever might be the fluids you use, it should be competitive. So coming to the applications, so there are different types of applications that are available for membranes. Okay, so these are the different types of applications. They are pharmacy, water protection, air protection, energetics, fuel cell, agriculture, solid protection, food, medicine, breeding, etc. Okay, so these are different types of applications that are available till date, and we also discuss what are the future scope of our membrane things. Okay, the upcoming slides. So after going that, I just want to discuss my practical experience with membrane technology for an water desalination process, and then I will able to explain you about the process of how I can able to introduce this type of membrane to a fuel cell. Okay, so here one membrane as it has been used here, a sorption material and a, water as a working fluid. Both are traveling in a simultaneous direction. Okay, during this traveling process, what happened is that desiccant regeneration, that means a hot desiccant or sorption material is regenerated by dissolving the water vapor into the water. So because of this, here the water quantity will be increased, and here I can able to achieve more absorption, more sorption material. So this is one kind of study which I want to share with you guys. So these were the liquid desiccant regeneration and desalination application process, which has been discussed for this material. Okay, here two fluids of different configurations have been analyzed, and then it is presented here. Okay. So you can see this test setup in which both membrane with fluid to fluid exchange taking place. Okay. So this is the pictorial view of a membrane which I have used, PVDF membrane. Okay, this is the contact resistance which I can able to use for this. So among these, so if I able to see, I just want to show you the practical difficulties with this type of membranes. Okay, so this is the unused membrane. Okay, so in this unused membrane, if you can able to see, it is good and it is fine that it has a pore size of not of equal distribution. That means it is the kind of a polymer membrane. Okay, so this is a fresh unused membrane. Now, if I talk about the used membrane, so here if you can able to see, there is a deposition of some solid particles into it. So because of these pores will be closed off. After that, these pores can't able to use for what we say for further application and reuse purposes. We need to throw away this type of membranes, or otherwise we have to again reorganize this pore size in an equal manner. Okay, now this ruptured membrane, so I just want to make a note of this ruptured membrane. So in this ruptured membrane, if you can able to see, this has, due to high pressure of liquid flowing across a membrane, this ruptures has been occurred. Okay, so these are some practical difficulties which I have been observed during my analysis for this membrane processes. Okay, so these are the some of the results with which how effectively this membrane can able to extract the vapor absorption process has been analyzed with the different inlet parameters and temperatures. Okay, here this is other percentage change in vapor absorption rate for with increase in inlet parameters for working fluids, different working fluids. Here this is for ambient air and this is for different working fluids. It is just for your glance. Okay, so this is a counterplot flow which has been analyzed. So here this is the one of the important plot through membranes which I can able to analyze, that with increase in temperature of a liquid, the concentration found to be increased. Okay, so that means more vapor has been penetrated across the pores. Okay, coming to membrane technology in fuel cell. Okay, membrane technology in a fuel cell, how I can able to use this. So in this till now I have discussed about the membrane properties and some practical difficulties as well as practical approach for membrane technologies has been analyzed in brief. Now I just want to know the membrane technology in fuel cell, how I can able to use this membrane technology in a fuel cell. Okay. Now, before going to talk about membrane technology in fuel cell, I just want to give a brief introduction about the fuel cell. So already most of the members have been covered about the fuel cell, but I just want to, further enhance the knowledge of this fuel cell technologies. Okay, they are just 3 to 4 slides. I just give an introduction about fuel cell. Okay, so here why we have to use this fuel cells. So we have to reduce our dependency on oil imports. Okay, that is the first foremost reason for going for a fuel cell applications. Then increasing energy supply to meet the growing demand. If you can able to see, this is the old picture which I have been shown here. But if you able to see for 2050 as projected, so the demand and energy supply should be meted. Okay, so for that purpose, we need to have alternative energy sources. So that's why we are going for a fuel cell technology. And one more thing is that we also have to, react for climate change. So for that purpose, we are going for this type of technology. Moreover, improving environmental quality, greenhouse gas emissions reducing, and meeting air emission regulations. These type of key drivers are meant to utilize this fuel cell technology. Okay. What is the promise which you can able to achieve from the fuel cell as per Leavitt? Okay, a score of non-utility companies are well advanced towards developing a powerful chemical fuel cell which could sit in some hidden closest of every home silently ticking off electric power, which is said by Leavitt. So this is the promises which a fuel cell can able to give you as a back. Okay. Now, what is fuel cell? So fuel cell is used to convert the energy produced from chemical reactions into an electrical energy. More specifically, if we want to describe about the fuel cell, then it is an electrochemical device that can combine hydrogen and oxygen to produce electricity with water and heat as a byproducts. Okay, so why we have to use fuel cells? Okay, first, a single step process, that means from chemical to electrical energy process. That's it. It is just like a not a much complicated phenomena. Then no to negligible air pollution and use of byproduct. Example, water. Okay, here there is a byproduct which we can able to generate, that is water, and oxygen which we can able to extract from this. And one more thing is that less usage of fossil fuels, like environmental pollution will be reduced. Next, higher efficiency when compared to diesel or gas engines or combustion engines, internal combustion engines. This efficiency ranges from 80% to 100%. Okay, in between, but not in 100%. Okay. It has consistency, efficiency at small loads. It has reduced weight, particularly in mobile applications. Okay, low maintenance cost if we talk about owing to the moving parts. Okay, and then afterwards low maintenance and no sound pollution compared to IC engines, and then it is has a reduced weight. Moreover, quite compatible with the contemporary energy carriers such as hydrogen and sources of renewable energy. Okay, so that's why we use this type of fuel cell technology. Okay, now, so working principle of fuel cell technology. So if we talk about this working principle of fuel cell technology, if you know, there are different components that are available in this fuel cell. They are cathode. Okay, you can able to see here there is a cathode, anode, and an electrolyte, which is sandwiched between these two. Okay, then oxygen from, if you can able to see this animation picture, you can able to know that oxygen from the air flows through the cathode side. Okay, which is off in this direction. Okay, then a fuel gas containing hydrogen or methane flows across the anode side. Okay, so then oxygen ions migrate through the electrolyte and react with the hydrogen to form water as a byproduct. Okay, then water reacts with methane fuel to form carbon dioxide and hydrogen, and electron from the electrochemical reaction flow from anode to cathode takes place through an external node. So with this, we can able to generate the electricity. Now, what are the types of fuel cells that are available? So from this chart, you can able to know that there are different types of fuel cells are available. Okay, so among these, if you can talk about, so there are direct methanol fuel cell, proton exchange membrane fuel cell, alkaline fuel cell, phosphoric acid fuel cell, molten carbon fuel, and solid oxide fuel cell. Okay. So among these, our interest is on proton exchange membrane fuel cell. Why? So this table itself, you can able to know that it has a large power generation. Okay, it has high efficiency when compared to others. Okay, cell efficiency or system efficiency is high, and the temperature range is 60 to 120 degrees, which is achievable using low grade energy sources. And the fuel is hydrogen. So here hydrogen is used. So hydrogen is a bit tough to maintain, but not. But it is not impractical. Okay, we can able to use for practical applications. It is not that dangerous. Okay. So the applications of proton exchange membranes is vast when compared to others. Okay, and it is compact in nature, and it can be used in as of now for electrical vehicles. Okay, for different types of domestic supplies and power stations also. So this is a kind of low temperature fuel cell based generation. That's why we are focusing on proton exchange membrane. Okay, so these are high temperature fuel cells where we can't able to have that much of prominence. Now, so coming to proton exchange membrane based fuel cells. So it is a semi permeable membrane generally made from polymers and designed to conduct protons while acting as an electronic insulator and reactant. For example, you can able to see in this figure two oxygen and hydrogen gas. Okay. Their essential function is to separate the reactants and transport of protons while blocking direct electronic pathway through the membrane when it is incorporated into a membrane electrode assembly of a proton exchange membrane fuel cell assembly. Okay, if you can able to see this working of proton and exchange through an anode and cathode devices. Okay, so here proton is a positive and electron is a negative thing. So due to electron, electricity will be generated, whereas proton will transport from anode to cathode and converts from oxygen to air and water as and generates heat. Okay, so these are a type of a fuel cell being developed mainly for transport applications as well as for stationary fuel cell applications and for portable uses purposes because of this compactness. Okay, so this is the one fuel cell which I have designated here. So if we can able to see like this, there are plenty of fuel cell stack. That means similar type of procedures can be adopted to have a more number of fuel cells for different range of. Now, for example, each stack consists of 10 membranes. Okay, 10 membranes with the interaction between cathode and anode. Okay, here for your understanding, for a proton exchange membrane based fuel cell, it has been designated in this process. Okay, now you can see here the working procedure of proton exchange membrane fuel cell. So here electrons, that means anode and cathode, separated by a polymer membrane electrolyte. You can able to observe here. Each of these electron is coated on one side thin platinum catalytic layer. Okay, this platinum catalytic layer already in the yesterday's speech of our directors and many of them, they told that platinum is one of the good electrolyte which has been unexpectedly what you say designed. I mean unexpectedly scientists have been discovered for membrane exchange processes. Okay, so the electrolyte, catalyst, and membrane form the membrane electrode assembly. Okay, hydrogen and air are supplied on either side through channels formed in a flow field plates. Okay, so this is a basic working of our this thing, this proton exchange membrane based fuel cell. Okay, if we go further, you can see the each component's working principle. Okay, so PEM, that means proton exchange membrane, which is also called as an electrolyte, allows protons transfer from anode to cathode. Here, separation of two half reactions, that is oxidation and reduction, takes place. Okay. Then electrolytes, gas diffusion layer, bipolar plate, current collector, and plates, gaskets, heating or cooling plates, reactant gas manifolds are present. Okay. So here, if you can able to see this this thing. So these are the different configurations which have been arranged for this proton exchange membrane based fuel cell. Okay. Now, how we can able to assess this performance of the proton exchange membrane based fuel cell. So here, in order to analyze the proton exchange membrane based fuel cell performance, we need to take two things. One is theoretical efficiency, other one is practical, that means actual efficiency. So if we talk about the theoretical efficiency, it's a gives free energy, I mean free flow of electrons across a catalyst on the membrane. Okay, in order to how much amount of free flow of electrons or